Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hi everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm so grateful that you're here. It means the world that you would take time to listen, and I hope that you're getting a lot of value from these podcasts. And if it is your first time with me, then welcome. I'm so happy that you are here today. And my intention is always to share practical tools and tips and insights that you can share with your daughter and use in your everyday life. And, recently I got a message from a mom who said that one of the episodes really hit home with just the way that she could understand how other girls thought too. And it really opened my eyes to how important it is for us to not only be able to use these insights for our own girls in our lives, but in also how to see how others could view situations too. It's always really helpful. So that always means the world. And what we're going to talk about today is something that I heard in a book that was really powerful. I'm a big audio book person. I like physical books too, but I tend to fall asleep. If I, read in bed or something, I tend to fall asleep. I like to read while I'm traveling and things like that, physical books. But the audio book really is about being a better communicator, because I think from being a teacher, I find comfort in learning. And I'm just always trying to grow myself and find things that'll help my life, which then can help the girls. I always try and, think of how could I apply this to the girls and how could I use this to help moms? So I heard this quote from John Maxwell, who is a leader in communication and among other things, he's an incredible human. And he learned it from a baseball player, a famous baseball player named Rex Hadler. And the quote is this: "Be a fountain, not a drain." And I thought that was so powerful because, being a fountain can mean so many things, and not being a drain can also mean so many things. So I thought I'd use that today to share some insight about fountains and drains in your daughter's life, and how that could apply to her, how it could apply to you, how could it apply to, outside people and situations too. So when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it got me thinking about what does it actually mean? So when I think of a fountain, I think of overflowing, water flowing. Often to me, it feels really fresh. When you're standing around a fountain, it feels very, you feel uplifted and centered and just, I've never really stood in front of a fountain and thought I felt horrible, unless maybe it stunk or something, which I've never really seen a fountain or been around one like that. But anytime I see one, even, I think it just makes me feel peaceful. And when you think of a drain, no one really looks at a drain and goes, oh yeah, that feels great. To be by a drain. You just think oh, it's draining water or it's draining unwanted things. So really this idea is good because you can use this with your daughter and in framing people in her life, how she wants to show up in her life, and how you want to show up in your life too. So it's when you are a fountain, you are pouring into others, you are, giving off your best, everything. And again, I always know that I don't mean that we ever ignore that we have, other feelings that are negative or that are challenging or things like that. What I mean is, as much as possible, intending to pour into others, to pour into yourself, to help people feel good when you're around them, and and not be a drain. And I think it's okay completely to share things that are bothering you and like vent and things like that. I don't think that's what being a drain is, but we all know those people that we've been around where you feel worse when you leave, like either they're really gossipy or they just complain all the time, not in a normal way, but just that's all they do is complain or talk about people. And you just feel like that ick, after you're around them. And, the opposite, when you're around people that are fountains, you feel great around them. You want to be around them. It's almost like you're drawn to that. And I think even with a fountain, you hear the water, like in real life, you hear the water and you're like, it's like curiosity. You're wanting to go near it. And I think about even in growing up in school, I never really had favorite teachers. I know that sounds strange because I was a teacher for so long, for 23 years, and I still consider myself a teacher. And it's like I never had that feeling of feeling seen really by any of my teachers. And that was really sad to me because in my experience in growing up, it was the popular kids who got all of the attention from the teacher. And I did have teachers who helped me and things like that, but I never really felt a bond with a teacher. And I think, teachers are such an important part of your kids' lives. And I even think about like my own teenager who, when he hasn't connected with teachers, he often doesn't do well in that class because it's harder, when there's a disconnect. And so for me, I not having that in my growing up years of feeling seen by teachers and feeling that warmth consistently, I really wanted to be that for kids. So that was my big driving force in wanting to be a teacher, was I wanted to develop those relationships because I believe that when you have those relationships with students, and I know that kids all need different things from us, but when you do have that close relationship, or even know them as people, it opens up that door to them feeling accepted for who they are. They learn better. They feel more in touch with what you're teaching them and everything else. So, that to me is being a fountain. And it goes, even today, I heard, a girl telling me in a session, like the teachers that she feels care about her by doing simple acts like, hi, how are you? Like saying hello is a fountain moment for her. So if you think of like fountain moments or drain moments, going back to the quote, it's like saying hello and making eye contact with someone is a way to make them feel seen, especially like this girl in particular is in middle school. And I think a lot of times, especially then, a lot of girls can feel invisible and trying to find their place and find their people. I mean, I think that's really a work in progress for all of us, isn't it? Is like we're all trying to find those people that we feel good around and we can be ourselves around. And then she was describing like these two male teachers that she has who are funny, who are warm, who are, exciting in class. It doesn't mean they tap dance or whatever, but they just make it fun and engaging. And then, those are like her fountain teachers who pour into the class and really everybody feels good for the most part while they're there. And they feel connected. And then there are those ones that are a drain. Like maybe in this case, the teacher doesn't even acknowledge the kids coming in the room, or it's like straight to business, like open your books and this is what we're doing. And I think about too, like in my own experience, times when you get kind of caught up in, and I think this as parents, we can get caught up in that day-to-day life and forget to check in, and not that we ever intend to do that, but, it can create this barrier. And the more that we can be a fountain, and again, doesn't mean being perfect, but the more we can pour into people, the better, and the better it makes them feel. And so posing that question to your daughter or the girl in your life is like, how could you be a fountain for other people? And who are the fountains in your life? And, I think we all need those people, and not everybody is going to be those people for us, and that's okay. And it's really teaching your daughter to discern, like, who are the fountains in my life and who are the drains. And going back to teachers, like, you know, there are going to be ones that your kids connect with more than others, and some people are aware of that and some people aren't. And you know, it doesn't necessarily make them a bad teacher if they're not, because as I've stated before, I'm very pro teacher, and I think more people just value the relationships, and I think most teachers do. And same thing with other kids in your daughter's life. Like, you know, it's her noticing who are the friends that are like fountains to me. Like, I'm drawn to want to hang out with them. I want to be around them. I feel better when I'm with them. And again, that doesn't mean they never have conflicts, because I think teaching girls that conflicts are part of friendship. Like, you have to also voice your needs and concerns and things. But like, more times than not, you feel great when you're with them. That is really good to teach them. And it also builds that intuition of like, okay, listen to your body, listen to your voice of when, or your inner self, you know, that feeling of when you feel great around people, and notice how they act. So my guess would be, every girl that I've ever talked to, in my own experience too, it's like the people that are fountains in your life, you love being around them because they're fun, you have things in common, you do fun things together. You're also able to get real with them. So it's not like you have to always stuff your feelings or never talk about anything real. So it's those people that really get you, and you get them, and you feel great when you're with them. And that's like being a fountain. On the other hand, there are those drains of friends where they gossip a lot, or they're always complaining. They're, you know, putting themselves or others down. Like, they're doing things, excluding maybe. They're doing things that are draining. And sometimes I think some friends, because you might be asking, well, why would my daughter ever hang out with someone like that? Sometimes, especially when girls are friends with girls for a long period of time, and then things start to change, or new friends get into the mix and they start kind of draining the friend group, and they don't do it all the time, but they do it enough to where it's starting to bother your daughter. And it's just really noticing that and thinking like, okay, is this person like sucking or draining the energy out of me? And if so, what can I do about it? So it's like, okay, could I, you know, go play with someone else or go hang out with someone else? Could I spend less time with that person? So it's really giving her the awareness of, how do I feel when I'm around certain people or when I'm in certain situations? Now, that doesn't mean that they never challenge themselves or meet new people. You know, sometimes situations can be challenging. Like a fountain moment of like a situation could be like doing their favorite thing. If they're really into dance and they're like in their dance class and in their flow, then that's a fountain, you know, environment. Especially if it's very encouraging and positive. And at the same time, you can be doing what you love, and then people in class can kind of be a drain. So it's like noticing what that's like for them and controlling what they can control. Because as much as I'd like to say we can control it and like leave every situation that drains us, sometimes you're kind of forced to be in that class or around those people. And so then it's like protecting your own energy and like how much you interact with them, that can protect that feeling, you know, of not getting sucked into all of the negative feelings and feeling drained yourself. So if you think about like as a parent, you know, I think about myself as a mom, and you might be thinking about yourself as a mom or dad or aunt or whoever you are in the girl's life. And, you know, sometimes it's like when you pour into other people like a fountain, overflows, you can kind of run out of your own, run out, you know, you can feel drained yourself. And I think it's modeling for your daughter and the girl in your life, and also having her be aware of like being your own fountain too, and pouring into yourself too, and also others. So balance is always a tricky word, because I don't believe that there's ever true balance, like in every area of your life. I think it's something that people strive for, and it can be really hard because, when you give so much to other people, especially your kids, it's like sometimes you can feel so depleted yourself, and it's modeling those things for your daughter, like, going for a walk yourself, or, taking time to do something that you love is really important as well. And teaching her that, like, yes, you should pour into other people and be a fountain. You should also do the same for yourself too. And it's not selfish, and it's not, taking away from anyone else. It's doing both. So I hear from a lot of moms that they like pour so much into work and family and kids, and they feel like they're running like a million miles an hour and doing all the things, and they just run out of energy for themselves. So it's like really draining for you. So it's remembering how to pour back into yourself too, even if it's for 10 minutes in the morning. If you're drinking your coffee or your tea and you're listening to a podcast, or you're writing in your journal, or you're just sitting in silence and doing nothing, whatever that means for you. I think sometimes self-care can get kind of a bad rep because there's so much pressure about self-care, do self-care. And sometimes it's like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, what does that even look like? And it's really breaking it down and making it very simple for you and what that means for you, and teaching your daughter to do the same thing. It's like, what do I need for my mind? Right now, I just need silence. Or what do I need for my body? Like, I need to just get outside and walk around the yard a little bit. Or I need to, make something for myself that, maybe I want to draw for a little bit and not worry about the outcome. Or maybe I want to listen to music, or just whatever it is for you. So I think it's modeling like how to pour into yourself and others, and also noticing how she feels with other people in her life, and taking inventory of that, and checking in with her about it, like asking her things like, what teachers does she like most, and ask why, and as they get older, it's usually something about homework, not very much homework, or, but I think you might be surprised by, like, I didn't expect the girl to tell me that the teacher talks to her every day. I mean, it's so simple. Like, people remember, it's like the Maya Angelou quote, people don't remember what you said or what you did, but how you make them feel is what people remember. A teacher acknowledging her and just saying, hey, I'm glad you're here today, is so powerful. And I think even doing that with our kids, like, hey, honey, how are you today? I'm happy you're home, or whatever it is. Like, simple acts like that really make them feel seen and valued. And I know those are like no-brainer type of things, but I think in our busy lives, we can sometimes forget the very simple ways that we can help our daughters feel like really seen and valued. And it's really taking in that inventory of who are the friends in my life who are a fountain and who are the drain. And so it's having that common language. In Girls Positivity Club, we always say, what's the yay in your day? So it's like looking for the good, and then what's the nay? What was something that was a challenge? And so fountain and drain can be another common language thing that you can develop with your daughter. Like, what was a fountain moment for you today? How did you pour into other people today? Or how did someone else pour into you? Or, make you feel like a fountain. You can make it whatever you want. And then not necessarily asking like for the nays. We don't ever like force a nay, but like, was there anything that drained you today? And I think it just opens up a really good conversation, and it can be a very quick check-in with your daughter. And then like just knowing how your daughter feels loved. I think that can be such a thing that is simple but complicated, and I think it can change over time. So one thing that came to mind was, I was talking in a club the other day, and one of the girls was like, yeah, on my birthday, because, birthdays are special. On my birthday, my mom like decorates my door and puts all these positive things on my door. And, I have like a nice note at my plate at the table, or whatever it would be. And, I love that so much. And this other girl in our club said, I wish my mom would do that for me. You know, my family doesn't really do those types of things. And I think it's something to think about, because when it's not a natural thing for us, like to me, that's words of affirmations. If you think of the 5 love languages, when it's not something natural for us, I think we can often overlook that our daughters might need that. So it's asking what ways they like to be shown love. And I know that can feel kind of heavy to bring up, but just checking in with like almost like, how full is your bucket? Like, how are you feeling about, you know, how appreciated you are in the family? And you can share how you're feeling too. I think that's a great conversation to have. And if you're not sure how to do that, I'm a big fan of the 5 love languages. I think it tells a lot about a person, by Gary Chapman. It's a book, but there's also a free online quiz you can go to. And there's a kid's version. So you could either take the version for your daughter, knowing her well, or you could have her take it. And I've done this with clubs, with classrooms, all of the things, because I think it's easy to overlook how they like to be shown love. And, you know, that girl in particular was looking for words of affirmation. And my guess would be that her parents, that's not their first way that they like to be shown love and care. So, meaning theirs might be acts of service. They might like, you know, things to be done for them and that are acts of service, or they might like gifts, or they might be more like a physical touch, like a huggy family, or they might be more of quality time. So it's really just learning that about yourself and about your daughter, and checking in with what she needs to be filled up, or like overflowing like a fountain, and then ways that she can give to others too. I also think about like ways that you can give back together as a family. And, you know, in November, I did this challenge that was Charlie Rocket was doing, called Best Day Ever, which is acts of kindness. So I had the girls in our club, like we all planned acts of kindness, and we did it on these certain days in November. And I did this with my son and his girlfriend. And we went to a nursing home and we passed out roses to the residents. And I used to work in a nursing home, so I have a really soft place in my heart for that, because I feel like it's a very needed community that needs attention. Like they don't often get visitors and things. And so we went and passed out roses and little signs that the girls in our club had made. And just the look on their faces, and not only that, the experience of giving that to my son and his girlfriend, they loved it. You know, that we all felt really great afterwards. And we didn't do it for recognition or to get a pat on the back. Like, yes, we were doing it for a special weekend, but it felt really good to have that intention together. So whether it's something very simple, like baking cookies for your neighbor, or painting kindness rocks and putting them on a walking trail, or writing positive, you know, notes to people in your family, things like that make a huge difference, and to me are fountain moments. And it's when we get disconnected with people, and when we forget to do those things, that it can kind of drain them or make them feel like a little bit invisible. And I don't think that's ever an intention that anyone has. You know, and I think it's just good to be aware of that. And I think also teaching your daughter, you know, what her fountain moments are for herself, like when she encourages herself. Being your own cheerleader is a big thing that we talk about a lot. Is like, how are you doing that for yourself? How are you, you know, being a fountain for yourself? And is there anything draining you? And oftentimes those are like self-doubt or comparison, things like that. And it's, you know, again, having that open communication with your daughter and knowing where she's, you know, needing more support, that's really crucial. And raising that awareness and that common language you can have with her, that's really good. And I think too, just like showing her that you're not perfect, and that you have those moments where you feel either a drain from people at work, or situations in your own childhood. Again, they all love to hear like childhood stories. Anytime you can share like fountain moments where you've poured into other people or they've poured into you, or drain moments. And, just having those conversations is really, really important. And asking for what you need. I think in the case of the girl that said, I would love that on my birthday, I think it can feel a little awkward sometimes for them to bring things like that up, but normalizing that and being like, what makes you feel special on your birthday? What types of things do you like? Or in day-to-day life, like, do you like it when I leave you little notes? And I think even writing a little note to them and like putting it on their bathroom mirror or putting it next to their plate at dinner or on their gym bag or whatever it is, like, or sending a text, just like a random text. Hey, I just want to let you know that, I'm super proud of you for how hard you've been working on this, and just want to let you know that I love you. Simple things like that are a huge fountain moment for them. So checking in is huge with that. And I think there are lots of ways that you can do that. And it also just opens up that, conversation, like, is there anything that's draining you right now that I can support you in, is really important. And then thinking like, okay, what could change that? What could help you feel better? What activities make you have those fountain moments? And, figuring out how you can incorporate those into her life regularly and in yours too is really important. So that is what I was thinking about with being a fountain, not a drain. I thought that was a great quote, and I love sharing insight that I hope could help you in your daily life with your daughter. And I'm always open to suggestions for topics or things that you would like to hear on the podcast. So please feel free to reach out to me at Girls Positivity Club on all social media, and then at gmail.com, Girls Positivity Club at gmail.com, if you ever have ideas for shows or anything else. And until next time, I hope you have lots of fountain moments and that your daughter does too. And I'm super grateful you're here, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.